Commas.
Commas is all things tech.
Culture and technology coming together.
Life hacks.
The practicality right now and the inefficiency of the internet of buying and selling stuff is extraordinary.
Entrepreneurship advice.
I think the first thing is you got to understand your business inside out.
Love and tech.
We've almost reduced dating to kind of this very momentary snap of a person.
It's gonna be a fire show.
I have yet to see something these days that's truly differentiated.
New advice and new inspiration every show.
This really is about the next generation of creatives going faster, further than we did.
And now, Sequoia Blodgett.
Now let's start stacking them commas.
What up, Commas fam? On this episode, we're jumping into the pros and cons of bringing on an investor, how to manifest what you want, life as a fashion entrepreneur, and what was popping at CES.
Entrepreneurship advice. Learn from the hottest and most successful investors, founders, and innovators in the game.
Determine your greatness.
It's time to get your knowledge up.
Okay, for sure.
All right, so a lot of people are looking into entrepreneurship and they think they have to have an investor. I think there's reasons why you should and you shouldn't have an investor, and we're going to get into all that. So Dr. Dapper is back in the building.
I ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere.
What's good?
So we're going to talk about my experience having an investor and your experience having an investor and why you should have one and why you should steer clear.
Or ways you can also thrive without having one.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I went and built my company, because it was a tech startup, it was super imperative that we had an investor because you can't scale a business. So meaning you cannot grow a business to the magnitude of what tech companies are expected to be without bringing on a team of investors, right? And so I think that's the biggest differentiating factor between tech entrepreneurship and small, medium business entrepreneurship. You can grow a small, medium business without having an investor. What has your experience been like?
Yeah, with me, I tried to start off, in the beginning, it was me and my mom, so she helped me get it started, and we didn't have much, so it was like credit cards and things like that, because it's not as expensive as tech, like Tesla and all that stuff. They spend in millions or whatever. So it kind of started with that, and then my mom passed, and I graduated, and I was on my own, so I was running out of money, and my first order of shoes came in late, and I had a homie who had a guy that, well, no, it's not a guy, it was his father-in-law. So it was really close.
He had a guy.
They were really close. He had a guy. It was his father-in-law. He was very well off, and he told him about my story, what I was doing. And then me and his father-in-law, we sat down and we talked about it. He was like, oh, yeah, I want to help you out, blah, blah, whatever. So it wasn't like your traditional investor, let me have a business plan, a slide deck, and all that, So it's never been traditional from the jump for me. So that was kind of another non-traditional thing, the way I got into the investment. So he loaned me some money, and we had our little contract typed out on Words, docs, just real simple. We both signed and we went forward. And after that, he wasn't really involved with the business, so I didn't get help with accounting and marketing or other entrepreneur advice. So I feel like that was kind of something that was lacking as I was young, and I got this money. I'm like, okay, let me go spend it. And all of that money went towards my next order of shoes, so I didn't have any cash after that. So it was kind of hard for me to scale. So it was a lesson for me. But it was a lesson.
I think you make a great point in the sense that people are like, oh, I need the money, but they don't understand that they actually need the talent and the team and the resources around the money. Exactly. So that's the same thing that happened to me. So I went through Silicon Valley, had a billionaire venture capitalist invest in my company, thought that everything was going to be hunky-dory. We good. We got the bag.
That's all we need.
It was not good, okay? It was not good at all. So there were so many resources that were missing. So I couldn't understand at the time. I'm thinking I have the money, we're good, but I needed marketing, I needed sales, I needed brand, I needed to understand all those dynamics. And although we were making sales, it wasn't fast enough for a tech company to realize a return, right? Yeah. And so I think that's the biggest thing with having an investor come on is what other resources are they giving you? If it's not just capital, what else are you looking for? And for me, I think it's more important to have a strategic investor versus just an investor, right?
Yeah, because you can, even with that, you can have an investor that's that invests in you and that's heavily involved, and you can have or you can choose to have an investor that invests in you and is not heavily involved. So, there's also two sides to it. And I'm sure you've been in investing and all that stuff. So I think it becomes okay, do I find somebody that's been in fashion, that knows fashion, and they want to invest and help me grow my business? Then how much equity do I want to give up, or how much, what do I have to give in order to get this, educated person that's been through this, well-versed in fashion and has the money? or what do I have to do to give or like lose for this person that doesn't know a lot about fashion, but he has the bread, so I'm risking, okay, I take the money and I try to do it on my own and I try to figure everything out. Then I run out of money and I'm not selling fast enough. Then you're like, okay, I owe this guy money. And, now he's on my butt because I owe him this money and he wants me to do so much more. So now he's more heavily involved than he ever was because I owe him this money and I didn't get it back to him. But, if I had somebody that was already involved up front, maybe I could have been like, okay, I made the return because I had these connections and this like help. And, I wouldn't be in a bad situation. But, you go through everything for a reason. And yeah, you learn from it. So
I think you make a lot of valid points, and within those valid points, there are a lot of key components. Mm-hmm. Having a strategic investor is important. If you do have an investor who does not know the business, make sure you find advisors that do. Facts. Because those advisors are going to basically steer your business into the direction. And investors are supposed to be the catalyst to your network and relationships. So they're helping you find these advisors. They're helping you get to the next level, right? Exactly. So I think that's super important. That's something we focus on heavily at M13 is we make sure that you have all of those resources and you're not just out there trying to figure it out.
And when you explained that to me, I thought about my investor. It was the first experience I had. I was like, after that experience where I was like, okay, it was a year, and he was like, we met up again, or we met up monthly or whatever. He had told me like, your business is going to fail. You're not going to make it past this next year. And that's
like,
that's not the kind of thing you want to hear from somebody that's loaning you money, right? You want to be like, oh, you're going to make it. Here's this resource. Here's this. Here's that. Or this connection I have. It's like, okay, you would think they want to help you make more money so you can pay them back easily or something like that. But that wasn't my experience. So I was like, dang, I got that pretty ugly experience, or with that investor. So it was crazy when I heard you talk about that, and I was like, oh, they're giving them the resources that they need to be successful because they know they want to make their money back. So I was kind of shook, when that happened to me.
Would you consider bringing on an investor again?
See, me, like at this point, I'm more so on the crowdfunding side, or either just bootstrapping, or either like partnership. So if I go to, so for me, example, I have shoes, so I can go to a department store, I can get a lookbook, I can be like, yo, this is my line, this is my social media following, I have a solid customer base, they support me, whatever. I feel like my product matches what you sell in your store. Like we went to Nordstrom, and if they give you a run, they're like, okay, we want 5,000 shoes, and you get that order, you can go to the bank, and that's they just know that's guaranteed money because it's coming from a department store. So I'm leaning more towards the brick and mortars, partnership with celebrities and stuff like that to make specific shoes for them, and then run a line for them under my brand, and then also just crowdfunding and just bootstrapping in general. Yeah. And
I think it's important to note that taking venture, taking angel, they're both investments. Ways to take investments. Crowdfunding is a great avenue. Some people can explore that. It depends on what your product is. And if it's one of those products consumer facing and like a lot of people are going to gravitate toward, then crowdfunding can be the ultimate like platform for you. I think loans are super important. A lot of people overlook that, especially in small, medium businesses. You should be considering loans and seeing how you can pay that back, right? Exactly. I think a lot of people are also, and this is a dynamic that I get, and the biggest differentiating factor, I think, between tech companies and small, medium businesses is that equity plays a role in that, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have a small, medium business, if you can, keep your equity. If not, you think you can grow it and you need to bring on investors, that's cool. And a tech company is a polar opposite. So you want to get that equity out. You want to consume as much as you can. But at the end of the day, it's not feasible to hold on to your equity because you need so much capital depending on what you're building, right? So I think that's the biggest differentiating factor. So for you, what do you see your next step in terms of financing?
Me, of course, crowdfunding, connected with your friend. You want to shout them out?
Yeah.
Shout out?
Fun Black Founders.
Fun Black Founders. So connected with her. Shouts out Sequoia for connecting with them. Also, Levi and I, who will be coming on later, we're going to sit down and call up like Nordstrom's and Dillard's and Neiman's and stuff like that to present my product and brand. Because I've had people reach out like, oh, your shoe should be in Neiman's, your shoe should be in Nordstrom's. I've been in the stores and the buyers, and they're like, oh, we like your shoes. Or the manager's like, oh, we like your shoes. Where'd you get them? And we have that conversation. But I've never felt like my brand was at that point to where it was time for me to put it in the store. But now I feel like, in 2020, it's kind of time for that because I've built so much and I've sacrificed so much that it's time to actually, go into those department stores, and then like I'm connecting with those celebrities. So it's actually time to take that leap and, design a shoe that me and a celebrity sit down and we talk about, okay, what kind of shoe do you think would be hot, match your style and your like, audience or your people, and design that shoe and give them a percentage, based off of the sales, and continue to get that exposure and growth on that side of it. And I actually have one guy who wants to like invest up front and he wants to pay for the samples and everything, and just reap on the back end because he wants to see me win and do good in business. So outside of those two things, just continue to push myself and get more features on larger platforms. And then I take out some loans too. Like a lot of people, this is a big plug for a lot of people. So if you have a business and you feel like, you can't get a loan from a bank traditionally, one of my mentors told me about, I went through Credit Karma myself. So I met somebody that, went through Credit Karma a lot and did a lot of cards and a lot of stuff I feel like was scamish, but you can go on Credit Karma and you can get a loan. The interest rates are real high. So, I mean, if you really believe in your business, you'll take that risk to make stuff happen. But Credit Karma is a good place to go to get one next day. You can go to Stripe and get one next day. You can go to PayPal and get one next day. So if you really say for instance, you use Stripe as your payment process and you've used them for like 2 years or something, you have a good background. They just released, it's kind of like beta form where it's not a traditional loan. It's like, okay, every transaction that comes through, we take a percentage of like your sales to pay back, this 10 grand. So if you have a business that's like, you've been doing it in Stripe, or PayPal is your like payment provider or whatever processing, you can actually go in there and sign up and then they'll approve it and it'll go to your account and then it'll start taking a percentage of all your sales. So it's easier for you to not think, oh, I need to make this monthly payment every month. It's like, oh, I don't have to think about it because if I sell a product that costs $500 and they take 20%, you just make room for it, when you have sales or whatever. So it's pretty dope that you can do that, and a lot of people don't know.
Gems, because I didn't know that.
A lot of people don't know, man. It's crazy how if you really want something, bro, it's crazy. Like you can really make it happen. You just gotta sacrifice so much and be willing to take those risks. And it's just all about who you know. Because I meet people at certain times that drop gems on me that I need in that very moment. Like when he told me about Stripe and PayPal, I needed that at that very moment to like pay for another order of shoes. So it's crazy. Yeah, I swear it's crazy how, and me just even saying that right now, somebody will listen to it and be like, oh dang, I need that, and they'll take that risk and they'll be like, yo, I'm so thankful for that. Yeah, so
I want to be clear to you guys when I say tech and small medium business, not to say that your company is actually a small medium business because you could, right now, but you could scale to a bigger D2C direct-to-consumer company. So you could essentially have the same kind of structure as a tech company. You see that with Daily Harvest. You see that with a lot of consumer-facing companies. So it's not to categorize and say, okay, because you're a small, medium business, because you could decide that that's not the way that you want to go. It's just making sure that we differentiate the two factors. Yeah. So you guys know that if you are the small, medium business, maybe you're an info product, maybe you're a brand and you're like, I want to sell whatever online, you can take out those loans like Eric is saying. You can go through the payment processing and leverage loans that way. And then going back to having a bigger company that needs to scale, that's going to hit over 1 million plus households, then that's a whole different story, right? You should be looking into angel investing and then ultimately venture capital if that's the direction you're going to go.
And then another thing too, if you're starting an apparel brand, a great thing to do that's helped me continue to operate over the years is, if I have $500 to pay for a sample, if you have a t-shirt company, so a lot of people have t-shirt companies out there. If you have a t-shirt company and you create this dope logo and you got a 9-to-5 job, take like $100 from that 9-to-5 job, get a sample made, put a Shopify up, just that's less than 100, and then you can actually start pre-order. Like even if you start on social media and you build an audience and you get people to start to support, understand your story, or love your product, start a pre-order. Like pre-order is nothing, man. Like run a pre-order like phase, sell 20, get pre-order for 20 or whatever, make that profit, put that right back into the business. And over time you'll see like you'll start to grow like 50 sales, 100 sales, and it's like, dang, I got enough money now to buy 1,000 t-shirts, and you get to just grow from there. So it's really good to set that big like target at the end and then work your way backwards and understand that you can start with one t-shirt or one shoe and like actually scale that through like pre-order or anything like that.
I love that you said that because we're talking about going to other people for investment, but you're talking about investing in yourself. That's so bootstrapping your business, paying for it yourself, financing it yourself, making sure you're reinvesting into the business. A lot of people are like, well, I can't survive, so I'm going to take the money out and live off of it, then you might just have to have a 9-to-5 until you can get it together.
Or you can like just deal with that hustle. It's a sacrifice for sure.
Yeah. So it's up to you. There's plenty of options out there, but just know that you have the options.
Facts.
It's life hacks.
Life hacking, baby.
Tech tips and tools for everyday needs.
Tap in.
Control, copy these shortcuts and simplify your life.
You heard us.
All right, you guys. So we're going to jump into the power of manifestation. A lot of the times we believe certain things and we don't think that we can actually bring those to fruition. But the truth of the matter is whatever you think, you can manifest. So Dr. Dapper, tell me about some of the things and ways that you've managed to manifest.
Manifesting has been a big thing for me since about 2018. It's been a big thing. So we can go into the techniques. I want to hear your technique too, because like my technique is kind of simple. You know, I take my whiteboard, I write down there. I think about stuff I want, of course, because the power of the mind is just what you speak is very powerful. But when you write it down, it's like a whole different like just manifestation. It's crazy. So I take a whiteboard and I separate my sections. Like I'll put LFLS shoes, I'll put Dr. Dapper, and I'll put like another business I'm working on or something like that. And I'll write 2020. I'll write a word of the year. Like this word is grateful. It's my word of the year. And I'll just start to write out stuff I want to achieve during the year. And then say for instance, I write down how much money I want to make or how much money I want to come through my bank account. And I break that down month by month, day by day, so I know how much I need to make. And then I also put plans beside, like, okay, this is like what I need to do to make this money, or this is what I need to do to scale my business. And last year, I even sat down and looked at the calendar to see like which specific points my shoes sell the most. So I put points to attack. Like I put Valentine's Day, the Met Gala, or I put Christmas time, I put prom time, wedding season, and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I manifest. I just write stuff down. And then I start to meditate a lot more too. So manifestation and meditation is a big thing for me this year. So like that's kind of how I do it. So like, you know, how do you manifest? Is there a different technique to the Sequoia manifestation?
You are way more organized than me. So my manifestation all happens in my head. Like I start thinking about things, ideas will pop up, things that I want. And of course, I'll get them out, but I am not structured in like, here's the whiteboard and let's get it going, right? So I'm good at hiring people. So if there's something that I want, I absolutely know that I want this, I'm hiring somebody to help me get that, right? Okay. So I'm like, okay, what's the next stage in my career? I'm hiring a business coach. Where do I need to go in my relationships? I'm hiring a relationship coach. Where do I need to go? Like, what's happening internally? Yeah. I'm getting a therapist. You know what I'm saying? So those are the things that I do in order to manifest. Now, what's interesting, and I am not the most religious person on the planet. I believe in universe. I believe in what your thoughts are. They will manifest if you focus and put your energy there. Some things, so I hired my business coach last year. I was working in a certain role, and going through that process, I realized, okay, it's time for me to make that transition. So when I hired her, I was also building a business simultaneously, right? And throughout that process, I realized that business had leverage for other companies. So I was like, okay, how do I grow this business? Not necessarily focused on the fact that I wanted it to be acquired, but more so focused on I want to grow this business. Found out later that there was an opportunity for an acquisition or to roll this company up into a venture capital firm, but like that was not my thought, right? So I think you can't necessarily be so specific that you deviate from whatever that manifestation is, True. But you need to have direction. So my direction was, I need more money. I need to do these things. I need to grow my career in this way. And then it showed up in a way that I never would have imagined. That's just right?
What happens. It just pops up like, you know, just random, like, oh, I didn't ask for it to happen this way. But it's like, oh, you got it, though. So it's like, be happy or
right.
What you do.
I was like, yes, this is not what I envisioned, but let's go, right? So I think that's super important. Then on the flip side, I was like, I want a TV show. Not thinking. And Tawala, our producer, tells me this all the time. He's like, Sequoia, everything you say that you want to do happens. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. So, but because I don't put that much effort into it, which trips me out. Like even this show, I was like, I called Tawala when I got back to LA and I was like, I want a radio show. And he's like, yeah, that's cute. right? Like we worked in radio a decade plus ago. So he's like, cool. So I go find a relationship, end up on Dash, and call Tuala back like a week later. And I was like, hey, I got a radio show. He was like, what the hell? Like, so like, I don't know what it is about focus and intention, but when you put that out there, things just happen.
Energy. It's all energy, I swear. Because like, it's not even as complicated as people make it like seem, you know, like if you want to make a meal, it's not that hard to make a meal. You know, if you have to see it. So like that's why I write it down. Like once you write it down and you see how easy, how obtainable it is, it's like, oh dang, I can actually do this. Then you actually start taking that first step to achieving that, and then you turn around and you're like, oh, you made it like in a year, you made it in 2 years. So even like you said, in a week, you had the radio stuff going. It's like even with me, if I say I'm gonna do something, you know, usually as an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur, not a entrepreneur, if they say they're gonna do something, you know, they'll have a business idea one week, and then next week they have a business, or either they have a foundation of something. And that's how you know people are actually about it, you know, and manifestation was like a part of that, you know. So it's crazy how that works.
I think you hit on something. You have to be an entrepreneur versus a wantrepreneur, or whatever it is that you try to prenue. Because because if you just want, nothing's gonna happen, right? Thanks. There's a lot of people out there that are just like, oh, I want to be da 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 da, and like they do nothing to move themselves forward.
Exactly.
And so from your hustle, what I've seen is just as an outsider looking in, you're like, oh, I want to do X, Y, Z, and the next week it feels like it's already there. Like you position yourself in a way that feels like what you're trying to manifest has already happened.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting. Talk about that.
It's a beautiful thing, I swear. And it's like it's really I feel like it has that feel or that look just because it all grows from that one seed that I planted. So that one seed that I planted is the shoe company, is my purpose, is my story. And when you plant that one seed, it's just like a tree, you know, you watch it grow. And as it gets taller, it's like a different branch branches off, and another branch branches off, and another one branches off, because they all coexist. So, you know, when I manifest one thing, that one thing begins to, you know, just grow and grow, and I water, and it just like it just sprouts out into different things. So it's really crazy how it happens. But everything really just aligns, like the universe, the energies, just like even meditation. Let's talk about meditation, you know, because this is going to be big for me this year. In my last event, I led a group meditation, and people were crying. So it's like I really got serious, and I'm a goofy person, but I got serious in that moment. And people, she looking at me right now like, yeah, you real goofy.
Indeed.
But yeah.
We love them though.
The meditation is like everything, man. So I feel like that's going to even elevate my journey and my the things that I'm a part of and everything I touch even more, because like I'm really focused on it from manifesting. But then when I meditate and I really close my eyes and I breathe, I clear my mind, I relieve myself of the stress of all the negative stuff going on, and I focus on the positive and the things I manifested, you know, it only allows that to go even further, even quicker. You know, that's why stuff gets done in a week, because you really sit back, okay, I want this to be done. This negative stuff is going on, but, you know, I'm going to forget about that and focus on the positive, and that allows it to grow more and more and more and even better. So I feel like, yeah, that's how that happens.
I love that you kicked off on meditation, because I think it's super difficult for me. When I try to meditate, I am in the deepest coma of life. Like,
no, am I even here?
I'm like, and sleep, right? Like we literally, I'm so serious.
I was meditating.
I'm out. Like we had a meditation session at M13, and like we were all sitting around the table. It was like so comfortable and so warm, and like all the blankets were there, and the aromatherapy oils were being passed, and I was out like a light. Okay, so I think it's super important, like when you meditate, to understand like how you best meditate. Because for me, I'm taking a nap. Like I'm gone.
Even me, like I've found that, you know, I started off sitting in my bed meditating, trying to like play the music and just sit and close my eyes. But now I get in the shower and I turn the light off.
Because I can't go to sleep in the shower. I love it.
I let the steam hit me, and I breathe that steam in, and I take it in my body, and I just let it out. So I mean, yeah, get in the shower next time you want to meditate. See how that feels. Let the hot water run on you. Let you just close your eyes and just breathe the steam. And I feel like I don't think you'll go to sleep standing up.
Oh no. That's not happening.
I feel like that'll solve that issue.
I like that. Thank you for the advice. Yeah. So for people who are out there that are trying to manifest 2020, I know there's a lot of New Year's resolution, New Year, New Me, like all the hashtags, all the things. So for people who are trying to set up their 2020, what are some of the things that they should be doing?
they should be writing. They should get a whiteboard. They should write. They should think about their goals. I would even say, look around you. Like the people that you surround yourself by the most. They have the most
influence.
Yeah, influence on your life, like what you do. So if you're the fifth person, you surround yourself by 4 people that just sit home, play the game, work 9 to 5s, go out on the weekends. You're gonna be that fifth person that does that. But if you surround yourself by hustlers, entrepreneurs, people that are they're on their game, you'll be that fifth person. You have no option but to level up. So really look at your friendships, look who you surround yourself by, and see who's there for you when you're down at your lowest, and who's there when you're at your highest points. Because a lot of people want to hang around just in case you make it, or they only want to have you, or they only want to talk to you when it's like, oh, I need this, or where you at, like blah blah blah. So
I hate those people.
It's real important to
sending you the voicemail
right immediately. So it's real important to know who you surround yourself by. Manifest with the whiteboard. Meditate. And I want to say fail like a baby. I want more people to fail like a baby. And that basically means when you're a kid, when you're a baby, you're just born. You ever heard that quote before school?
Yeah, we had when I was at Draper, we had fail and fail again until you succeed.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
fail like a baby is everything, and I'll explain it for y'all. So fail like a baby, like when a baby is born, they pop out, they hear whatever, they doing their thing, and they start out crawling, and then they look around, they're like, oh dang, everybody walking and stuff, they running, and like how do I do that? And they stand up on the side of the couch, they try to walk. What do? They fall down, and then they keep trying to get up and trying to walk, and they fall down. And if we knew what failure was at that point, we would a lot of us wouldn't even be walking or running or doing anything. So it's crazy how a child's mind will just continue to go and get up and get up. And I feel like you have to apply that to business as well, because eventually that baby was able to get up and then walk. Because if I look at you right now, you can stand up out of this chair and you can walk out of this room because you didn't give up when you were trying to learn how to walk. So if you starting a business, tech, fashion, whatever, a service, and you find yourself failing in 2020, just remember, when you were a baby, you didn't give up on trying to walk. So don't give up on your baby as a business. It's in the crawl stage, but eventually it'll start walking, then it'll start sprinting, and then it'll be winning marathons, like you're saying boat. So it's you gotta just see the long term and just really just focus on it, and just remember that every L is a lesson, and when you fail, it's just what did I learn from that failure?
2 important things that you hit upon that I absolutely love is your network. I think that's so important. Your network absolutely is your net worth. 100%. I know it sounds cliche, but through and through. Fact. The reason why I'm on TV right now is literally because of a manifestation of me writing down with my business coach and going, hey, I want this show. Not doing much of anything to get it, which is kind of strange, but got a random email in the middle of the night and basically was like, hey, we want to cast you for this new show that Will Packer is doing. Say what? Say what? Wait. Can we? So for me, that was the universe, right? Yeah. I think you have the tools and whatever your passion is and whatever your purpose is, those things will show up. I don't care how much you try to suppress them, they just do. Mm-hmm. But from there, that was okay, you're on this. Then somebody in my network was like, okay, cool, we want to bring you on to this other show on Fox. So I think it's a lot of that, the networking that you're saying, and not being afraid to fail, exactly. Right? I think as you were talking about, when you're a baby, there is no fear. Nope. When you get about 20 and 30-ish,
you're scared. You're
all of a sudden, everything is frightening, right? So I think that's a big point. Is don't be afraid to fail. Fail, and fail again until you succeed. I think that's super important.
You need failure. There is no success without failure. You never there was a guy speaking at the event we were at today. He was the reason we have to go through pain because we wouldn't know how pain feels, and we would put that off on other people if we didn't experience that pain or that failure. So it's very vital to your journey and the person that you become over time. Because say for instance you were born into wealth and you have $1 million and you go start a business and it was always so easy for you and you always used to having all that bread, and then your parents die and then it's okay, I run the business myself, and then you end up hitting that one failure. It's how do you react in that? If you've never failed before, you're not used to it, you're not accustomed to it, how do you react in that? And that's the same with relationships. It's girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, business partners. I can't go into business with you, I can't be in a relationship with you if you haven't failed before, because I don't know how you'll react and how you will just come back from that failure. So that's very, very important.
I think people who go through adversity make the best entrepreneurs.
Facts. If you ain't went through nothing, put yourself through something. Be uncomfortable. Get out of that box.
Love it.
What's good, Commas family? Dr. Dapper is here. We're checking in. We're going to say it with your style. You know how we do it. I had to bring one of my good friends in, brought him all the way from Texas. That's a long trip, all the way from Texas. You know, this is a real good friend. We met about 3 years ago through social media. He bought my shoes. He saw my shoes. He was like, oh, they're dope. I want to buy them. I want to support. I was like, all right, just another guy. I want to buy some shoes. But he bought the first pair, and then he bought another pair. I was like, dang, you know, I really want to check out his stuff. So I looked at his bracelets. I bought a bracelet. And then our kind of like brotherhood and friendship was built off of that. So, you know, I feel like it was only right for him to be my first guest on my segment. This is Levi Lawrence, the third, not the first, not the second, but the third, you know. You're funny. So tell them a little bit about, you know, your background, where you're from, what you're doing right now. You know, you can go in a little bit more on how we met, why you wanted to connect with me, and then we can dive a little deeper into some more questions.
What's going on, people? Like you said, my name is Levi Lawrence III. My journey, period, in regards to meeting Eric, was just a dope experience. I think it was all about wanting that growth between not only business, but wanting a different circle. Mm-hmm. So I think that we all started off in a circle with, you know, friends that we had within that time. And those are the friends that you needed to be wherever you're at. And once it's time to ascend, in a sense of, you know, whatever you want, of wanting more, wanting to do more, wanting to be in a different space, sometimes the friends that you have, that doesn't mean that they're not your friends anymore, but they're just not, they might not be the friends that you need to be around in order to get to where you want to be. So I've always spoke about having the people around me that think like I do, mm-hmm. and work as hard as I do, and see life the way I do, strive for success in certain ways. A lot of people think I'm crazy because of things that I want to do, or the things that I've done or say that I'm going to do. And seeing Eric's shoes, and I was, you know, reading through some of the comments and, you know, checking out some of the stories. I'm like, man, like he's somebody that is like me. And I don't see age when it comes to that. I see ambition. Yeah. There's a big difference. You know, it doesn't matter. You could be 20, you could be 30, you could be 50. But as long as your ambition matches, then we're the same. So seeing that, I had to hit him up. And I was like, let me check out these shoes. I looked at their price. At that time, I wasn't about to spend. I was nowhere near the person to be like, I'm going to spend, you know, a couple $100 on some shoes. I just wasn't going to do that. But I believed in this product. And I was like, okay, let me see. You know, I feel like if you really are trying to put yourself in a different position, that you want to, you know, take those, I guess, risks in a sense. So I bought a pair. And I'm like, okay. And then from there, we started talking. And I was like, you know, I'm going to buy another pair. And I was like, look, you're the only one I'm messing with. I was like, from now on,
I'm only rocking
LFLS
shoes.
I'm only right. I was like, I will never buy another pair of dress shoes. I'm only rocking yours.
And that's love for sure. And it's crazy that it all happened from social media. So it's crazy that the power of social media and the way you utilize it to market your business, because you can actually reach people that become some of your closest friends. Like Blood couldn't make me and Levi closer, and I've lost a lot of family. And a lot of my friends, you know, they don't understand what I do, and they can't relate to the moves that I make, and they can't be there to understand, like, oh, I'm down right now. Like, this is why I'm down. You know, Levi gives me a lot of, you know, like a lot of information, a lot of ideas on what I should do and how I should move and the next step I should make to get out of this hole that I might be in, or, you know, get out of this down. So I feel like it's very important to have someone that you can relate to on a friendship level, but also as like a mentor or as a brother, or because he's a husband, he has a wife, he has kids, you know. So I look up to him for more than just, oh, this is my homie. It's like, yo, this is my brother, this is my mentor, this is like, you know, my life coach. You know, this is how I should treat a woman when I get married. This is how I should, you know, act around my daughter or my son. And when I look at him on like social media with his daughter, or when I FaceTime, I'm like, dang, I really like see myself in that position. So it's a beautiful thing when you can like really just manifest, or just, you know, just cross paths with somebody on your journey, because like that's the most important thing in your journey, like the people that you come across, because you come across the people that you will, you know, you will starve with, and you'll like be in the boat paddling with, and then eventually 5-10 years down the road, you feasting with those people, and you're like on the yacht with those people. So it's a beautiful thing to be in the gutter, in the trenches, and really like envision, you know, that bigger picture, and y'all do it together, and it's kind of like seamless. It's just like really easy to kind of like just see that. So that's a beautiful thing for real.
It was definitely a process building that relationship. Like,
oh yeah,
we started out like pretty much helping each other become better. Like, hey, are you looking at getting different boxes? Like, are you looking at getting a different twine? Like, what are you gonna raise your prices? What are you gonna do? Like, you want to collaborate? Let's do a giveaway.
Yeah, in fact, we did a lot of that. We did a lot of that.
And we were doing all kinds of stuff, and we just we built that relationship on fashion. But then we start getting more personal about each other's lives, about where we came from, what we're doing, what we want to do. So, because my thing about me is, although I have a fashion part, that wasn't my thing. It wasn't my big thing that I wanted to do. Like, I've always wanted to have something to where I connect with everybody. So, it just kept growing. Mm-hmm. It just kept growing between us. We finally met after what?
Bro, we met for the first time last year. We met and connected on Instagram in 2017, and then we met in person the year that I moved to LA, like months before I moved to LA. So it was crazy how that really happened, because I made a trip.
Was it in April?
It was like right around that time, because I took a trip here and I was here, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna drive up, or I'm gonna come up." He flew up and he was like, "I'm gonna see you and meet you for the first time." And we met like that, so it's crazy. And then since we were talking about fashion, let's talk a little bit more about like how you got into fashion, why you got into it like that. How was that beginning, stage of like fashion? Because you're older than me, and your fashion stuff was different for Shine. So
kind of definitely was different.
kind of speak on like how you got into fashion and why you got into it.
Oh man, so fashion's always been a part of my life. Really, my nana used to dress me as a child in some of the dopest things that I've never seen any other kid in. When I look at the old pictures, I'm like, man, I was fly.
It's clean.
And so growing up, she was always kind of my fashion icon. She was, flashy, but she was classy at the same time, and it kind of stuck with me as I got older. I really started dabbling into fashion I want to say in high school. I wanted to get my ears pierced. Mm-hmm. And so my dad wasn't about to have it. I just probably moved in with him, I think about a year after that, and he just wasn't having it. So I decided to create my own earring. So they had like the little magnets at Claire's.
Yeah.
And they used to have like the old, back in the day they had like the Jordans and all the Jordan man.
Yeah.
All the big squares, the big Soldier Boy square earrings and stuff. So I would get those from a kiosk, and I'd clip them off and I'd sand them down, and I'd super glue a magnet to one side, and I had magnetic earrings. And so that's kind of where I started like being myself and doing it. And Of course, I'd always take them off before I get home because he just wasn't having that.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, everybody at school started wanting them. Mm-hmm. So I started selling them, $15 a pack, and it was probably costing me next to nothing, maybe like $2, $3 to make them and to get everything. From there, I started creating shirts and bleaching jeans and stuff like that, just doing like whatever creative thing that came to my mind. And it kind of just grew from there. I think about 2009 is when I was like, man, I want my own business. And I think I want my own clothing line. I think I want to do more. And so that's when Shine started. Mm-hmm. So the idea of Shine came, speaking to a few, the older friends, and nothing was done. I had sketches. I had been speaking to people, but I didn't do anything about it. I was so soaked into the dumb stuff that I was doing in college, and I didn't really have anybody around me that was really pushing me to be more.
Yeah.
Or to be like, hey man, like, are you gonna start this? Hey, like, let's do it together. It was just me. I talk about it, and everybody be like, all right, cool. And that was pretty much it. In 2013, I met my future wife.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually going into the military at the time, and I told her about everything that I'd done before, and I pretty much showed her all my sketches. And one day I was coming home from work.
This is the important part, you guys. Listen up. If she doesn't do this for you, you need to leave her.
I was coming home from work, and she was sitting on the floor. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, I'm making your website. I'm like, my website for what? She was like, for your company that you're going to have. And she had bought my first website, and it was a Squarespace website, or Wix. No, it was Wix. It was a Wix website, and it was like www.shine.com. And I was like, man, it just like touched my heart so much. I'm like, this is somebody that's like really believing in what I want to do, even though I didn't even know what I wanted to do yet.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it kind of just grew to where We did modeling. Had pictures of some of the people that I knew. Just weird stuff. Nothing came out until like 2014. Once we moved to California, came out with my first beanie. They called it the vintage shine beanie. And I went to Napa. I got the biggest cowhide you would ever think of. I was taking little Brandon things and burning them. I was cooking crack in the kitchen, literally. When I tell you I was cutting out squares, and I was in the kitchen with a brass label thing that had the Shine emblem on it, and I had set it on the stove, and I had to pick it up with the towel and just like keep doing that, and then it's like getting to sew them and impressing them. It was a whole thing. But I sold out. My first time around. It was purely off of support because them bad boys were small. They couldn't even fit my head. And you know I got a big head. You know
I just want to buy it just because
this
it's
bad
Levi.
Boy right here, I had to get this special made. Just to wear.
It'll fit around the dome.
Yeah.
So with talking about fashion, like how has it like influenced your life in a way? Because I know over time, since we've met, it's evolved a lot in general.
Sure.
So how do people treat you when you walk into a room now, or like how did fashion just shift or just mold your life as an individual?
The way I dress affects every aspect of my life. It doesn't matter where I go. I'm dressed down right now. Of course, I got my hoodie on.
But you still fly because you got the LFLS shoes on.
I got the LFLS shoes on and the fedora and stuff. But it doesn't matter where I go. I get treated like I'm important.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I am important. So of course you walk with confidence, you speak with confidence, then people will respect you just like you respect yourself. But you gotta when you dress, you have to dress with respect.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, I don't want to say they don't care about themselves, but I feel like they don't dress as much as they respect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, you show that, and then everybody else pretty much just flocks to that, and they treat you the way that you should be treated. I know a lot of people that have said in the past that, when I walk into somewhere, like people like lock their doors or whatever, or they get all scared. I've never had that problem. As a black man, some people, and not even just black, Hispanic, Asian, white, it doesn't matter. I've never had a problem where somebody was like, "Oh man, who is this?" This hoodlum.
Yeah.
I just never had that issue because I've always kept myself in a certain way. Now, don't get me wrong. Every now and then, I throw on some basketball shorts, get to sagging. That's at the house or something. When I was chilling. But I'm not gonna step outside like that because I respect myself. And I just feel like fashion, period, has sculpted my, the way that I move, because the way I dress and the way I move, I gotta look good.
Facts.
I'm already goofy looking. Goofy looking. You know what I mean? Look, this is as good as it's getting over here. So, if I don't dress right, then it ain't getting no good.
So you think, like, the name of my segment is like say it with your style. So what do you think people think about you? What have you seen the way that people were like? Give an example of like how your style speaks for you when you walk into a room. Even if it was today, because people will be like, "Oh man, you dress so nice."
Oh
like,
yeah, I think we felt like we was dressed down.
Yeah, we were dressed down.
I think that they always say that you're like, oh, like you're different,
Mm-hmm.
or I think personally that my style, if I could put it in a word, would say like leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to try anything, as long as it looks good on me.
No.
Hell, if it's a girl shirt and it look good on me, I'll be like, well,
He actually got his shirt.
I like this a man shirt today. You see all the V thing with the chest popping? I was like, and I'll mess around and walk outside and be, oh man, that feels dope. I'll be like, thank you.
Where'd you get the shirt?
Hey, look, I've done it before. I don't got no shame. Now, of course, catch me in no heels or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna make sure I look like a man.
Yeah.
But I'm fashion forward, and I just feel like if it looks right and it feels right, then it is right. So I definitely feel like when it comes to me, it's more of a leader look than anything else. Of course, you have the people that are kind of like offset by that. They're like, man, like you kind of do too much.
Yeah.
With the I'll be wearing the brooch sometimes, or doing some extra stuff, and I mean that's cool. Some people ain't tapped in like that. They want to wear the polos.
Keep it simple. There's nothing wrong with it though.
Cool. That's what they want to do. That's cool.
And then so like it's kind of steering away from fashion. You do a lot of different things too. Like outside of being a family man, you have a book. You're in like legality with like a lawyer that you work with through a company, and just a few other things. So kind of speak on the family stuff real quick, then the book, and then also other business you want to touch on.
My family is everything to me. My family has made me who I am today. I used to be the worst of the worst kind of person. And I was cold-hearted, I was mean. And even after I met my wife, I was still kind of cold because I've been cold for so long. She had, brought me over to a better side, more free thinking and all that. But once I had my child and I realized that I had to change, not only for myself, but for the people that were in my life, because I'm affecting them. The energy that I put off, the light that I give off, it affects those people around you. My daughter is the brightest light that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not saying that it's been filled with darkness, because I've had great times, but I've never seen such a happy person. And that happy person makes me happy, and it makes me want to do better. My wife encourages me to do more, to think more, and to think out loud, and to be who I am. There's so much things that I wouldn't have done, I wouldn't have tried if it wasn't for her being the outcast type of person that she is. So I'm extremely thankful for them, and it's because of them that I'm on my second book. So my first book was Raw Words with Levi, which was really about empowering myself and then empowering others. It's 100 quotes that I came up with within a year, and those 100 quotes helped me get to that next stage of my life of not only knowing what I wanted to do, but to be able to conquer those things and to go and charge forward even, after falling. And now we have Breaking, a walk with man. So with this book, it really dives deep into men as a whole. So although all men aren't the same when it comes to their lives, we all have been through similar situations. And this goes from being young and innocent to being tainted and cold-hearted to meeting my wife to still making dumb, young, single man mistakes, and I mean, like most dudes have them. These are things that people don't talk about. They don't talk about the fact that, when you first get married, he still ain't married yet. He's married and he knows he's married, but he makes the dumb man mistakes because he don't know. A lot of guys don't know. And to becoming a father and not knowing what it's like to really be a father. I was raised by my mom, a single mom from, as I was born to the age of 12, 13, and then I moved into it with my dad and my stepmom. And then from there, I left the house at 17, 18 to go to college. But it was, some things happened along the way. I've always been a wild child, outspoken, and I wanted to do everything I wanted to do. So, but there were things that we all hold internal. Those internal scars that you hold deep, and those things that if you don't fix those, they can affect the people down the line, like your kids. And I made those mistakes in the beginning with my daughter, and it's because I didn't know about it. I never been around kids, I never been a dad. I never really seen a father and his child have that intimacy that they might need, because a lot of men lack that intimacy because they never really got that between their dad.
Yeah.
And I love my dad to death. But he grew up hard, and it's hard for a man that was raised hard. He was raised in Inglewood, California, who was raised hard to be that extreme,
soft, loving dad, yeah,
gushy, loving man that you have to be to your son or to your daughter, whoever. So, and that's needed. And I know a lot of people feel like, well, you got to be real tough on your kids. And that's not the fact, because my mom was the same way. She wanted to love me, but she didn't want to give me too much affection because she didn't want me to be soft.
Yeah.
You know, so she was tough. She's the one that taught me how to fight. She's the one that taught me how to fix a sink, fix a toilet, change a tire.
Down.
You know, she was no joke on it. You know, getting into it. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the book. Just goes into my family, the growth, ups and downs, and the outcome of me being who I am today.
Yeah, that's dope. And then like we're gonna go ahead and kind of like wrap it up, and like you can tell them where they can find you at and everything, and so they can find out more about the businesses you own, the fashion company, and the books and everything when they drop. So Instagram, all that stuff.
You can follow me at Levi Lawrence III on IG. That's LeviLawrenceii. You want to follow me on Facebook? It's Levi Lawrence III. You know what? And I'm going to be a little bougie when I say this. You can Google me, Levi Lawrence III. Right now, you Google me, everything will pop up. Magazine, articles, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not hard to find. Breaking A Walk with Man is going to be one of the best books that you hear. It's an audio book, and it's not commercialized at all. It's really personal. It's pretty much like you're in the same room with me and my wife as we're having these conversations, and I really hope that you guys take something away from what I'm giving, the mistakes and how you can become a better person, you know, whether you are a man or a woman, to your child or to anything.
Dope. So as you can see, Levi is definitely, he's saying it with his style. So get tapped in with him, be ready for his book, and stay tapped in. We got some more information coming for you so you can keep stacking these commas.
This is The Plug.
You know who's the plug.
It's time to get caught up on the hottest in tech.
Keep it locked, you heard?
With Sequoia Blodgett.
I see you, little mama.
CES, the biggest tech conference in the world, or at least one of the biggest tech conferences in the world. The Consumer Electronics Show just passed in Las Vegas, and there were some really interesting gadgets to check out. But the one that caught my eye was the Uber collaboration, because we're going to be flying around this piece.
Who about to fly with who? Tell me more about this.
So what's happening is basically Uber has already rolled out in New York, but the plan is to create these urban mobility vehicles dubbed the SA1 and basically roll them out in 2028. Okay. So essentially, they're going to pick you up. They're not necessarily helicopters. They're helicopters right now, but they want to transition from them being helicopters to this vehicle. They're going to pick you up and basically Jetson you across the sky.
I was about to say Jetson. Uh-oh.
Meet George Jetson.
We are here.
We are here. And that's the thing, too. People are like, oh, this isn't going to happen for a really long time. No, it will happen in this decade.
Yeah,
right? They're building on it right now. And what's also interesting, so because they've already launched in New York, they want to do a rollout to LA, Dallas, Texas, and Melbourne, Australia with the helicopter service. And they want to test in those cities first, see how that goes, and then ultimately they're going to deploy this bigger situation across the United States and the world.
I want to test this out. Like, did they have like anything about cost, or because since they got the rollout for 2028 for like the actual cars going to be flying around and stuff, you know, did they put any cost for like the helicopter stuff? Because I mean, I'm sure we got some people listening and it's like, oh, they probably got closer to the speaker. They're like, oh, we got helicopters and we finna have cars. So like,
yeah,
is it easily accessible, or do you have to be a part of some kind of club like Commas Club to
No.
get it?
So it's on your Uber app. Plug. It's on your Uber app, and it's just like you're requesting an Uber Black. So the cost is literally the same amount as an Uber Black. Now, they ain't the cheapest vehicles, but if you got the bag, you got the bag, right? That's what you do your entrepreneurial services for.
Facts.
So you can actually go ahead and request that now if you're in New York in terms of the helicopter, and eventually you'll be able to request it in the other 3 cities. And I don't mind, I don't really like that 405 traffic, so jumping in a copter feels good to me.
That'd be cool. I was actually around some people after the what was the award show? It was an award show, and I was standing around some celebrities or whatever, some actors, and they were talking about some people they know in Beverly Hills that were actually catching flights from their house to the airport. Like it's a service or somebody that like, they pay for a plane flight, and it's just like an Uber or something. So I feel like there's some similar stuff. So it's crazy that it's happening right now, and it's accessible, to the people that do have the cash for it. Do you ever think it'll be like become accessible to us, like Uber is accessible with people that own the cars. You think people will own the planes, and it'll become like more, accessible for us.
Well, that's interesting. So, in terms of like the driver or the pilot, can they rent out their planes and like rent them to Uber, right?
Yeah.
And then pick them up? I don't know what their plan is in terms of the long term, but I do know with this build out, they are focused on Hyundai building this for them, and Uber is going to leverage their technology on top of that and then utilize the app to kind of navigate as we do right now with the cars. So I don't know if they'll be bringing in other people's helicopters. These drone looking planes, they're going to be very specific to Uber. I know they have competitors in the market right now who are also trying to fill that space too, which is normal. Anytime you have a business, you're going to have those competitors in the market. So it's going to be who is first to market or best to market. And I think that Uber has a huge leg in the race.
Good foundation to build on.
Yeah, but although from what I hear, their competitor is really, really strong too. Yeah. So I can't wait to see what it all looks like.
Yeah, we'll stay tapped in on it, and we'll keep y'all updated. So stay tuned. And if y'all got any questions or if you hear anything before we hear it, send that over to us so we can keep the rest of the listeners updated.
Yeah, hit us up at Commas Club on Instagram at commas.club.